Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Robin, or A Hobbit's Reading List, and today we are going to figure out what I'll be reading in the month of July. Now, I'm going to do things just like slightly different this month because I have some ideas that I would like to explore, but for the most part, it's going to be my usual game of TBR Pursuit. So, if this is your first time watching my TBR game, I play TBR Pursuit, which is using the Lord of the Rings Trivial Pursuit board. Each color represents a different genre that is the most popular on my physical shelves, and the end spots at the end of the spoke represent Miscellaneous, so that sort of accounts for all the other books. I do have an option that adds a book to my TBR, which is the purple roll again spots, and I don't know what I'm going to do about that this month. I will still honor that if I land on it, but I'm going to try not to. I usually only have 7 rolls. This month I'm going to do 5 rolls because I have an idea for a themed vlog that I would like to do at the end of the month, and there's no way for me to incorporate that into my game. So I mentioned that the genres that are the most popular on my physical shelves are represented, and there are 6 genres. So they are romance, fantasy, classic, LGBT, psychology, and Jewish. Those are the 6 that we're sort of working with, and then, like I said, like all the other books are counted with those miscellaneous spots. So I'm curious about what I'm going to end up reading this month. June was amazing for me. There's only one book I didn't read, or I'll say there's only one book I didn't finish before the end of the month. I will be carrying it over into July a little bit as typical, but for the most part, I read my TBR and then some. I finished 16 books by the end, so that's not going to happen again. Trust me. It's just because I had a highly tailored TBR to my interests. But let's just see what I end up reading. So for the first roll, I pretty much get to choose whichever direction I want, because it's very rare that I get actually like a 6, but I still get to choose whichever direction. So I think I'm probably going to try to start with LGBT, just because that's my comfort zone. 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So LGBT is blue. So I'm going to move right here. Oh, okay. It's an LGBT book that is a feel-good. For the first book that is LGBT and a feel-good book, I picked up The Life of Melody by Costa. I was recommended this book. It isn't what I would typically pick up, just because, like, look, I don't read a lot about, like, kids. This is about, like, Melody, a literal child. So, but it's also a fantasy, it's described as a rom-com. It is a graphic novel, and essentially what happens is that this queer couple, a fairy godfather and a beast man, stumble upon a human child that has been abandoned, and they decide that they are going to temporarily raise the human child in the human world as co-parents, and along the way they discover more about themselves. And so it seems really cute. It's just not something that I would have, like, picked up in the wild, and so I am happy that it was recommended to me. So this will be interesting to get to. For the second roll, this is where it gets fun. 3. So 1, 2, 3, which is psychology. 1, 2, 3, or Orange is romance. I'm gonna go ahead and go that way. I don't really, I don't want a psychology book. Ooh, okay, this one's hard. A romance book that is set at school. That's a little challenging just because it's harder to search, and I got this prompt, I think, last month, and my options were limited. So, okay, for the second book of a romance that is set at a school, I had commented that this was hard, and I was correct. I didn't have any romances that were set at a school, or at least not, like, that was easily searchable. Like, I essentially went through every book that was listed as a romance on my story graph, on my, like, TBR, and I read the synopsis to see if it, you know, said anything about, like, even school age or what have you. Nope, none, nothing. Apparently Heartstopper was the last one, so I went out and bought a book. I went out and bought a book instead of redrawing. I'm fine with that. So I got She Gets the Girl by Rachael Lippincott and Alyson Derrick. So Storygraph, if you have the, like, full version, you can do recommendations, and this actually popped up. It was the only book on my queer recommendations that was set at school. So it follows two girls. Alex is a little bit of a flirt, and she just got dumped because she's a little bit of a flirt, and she's really upset about that. And then Molly, who is pretty much the complete opposite of Alex, and she's, like, secretly in love with this girl named Cora, who she's never talked to. Alex finds out about Molly's crush and agrees to help her sort of win Cora over, like, teaching her how to flirt and date and stuff. And she thinks that, like, if she can help Molly get her dream girl, it'll show her ex that she's not just, like, a selfish, flirtatious person. The logic seems kind of flimsy on Alex's part, but I don't know, it looks really interesting. They're roller skating, which I'll be interested to see how that comes in. So I went and got it, and apparently is sweet, honest, and filled with personality. So we'll see. We'll see. For the third roll, one. Okay. Classic. Well, classic, because this says nothing. It's a classic that is my lowest rated book. Okay. Great. Okay. A classic book that is the lowest rated. I was disappointed by that prompt on two fronts, because I was like, okay, well, at least I can put my Wodehouse book in that category. Nope. Just a heads up. I will be reading a Wodehouse book this month, as always. It's Psmith Journalist. If you've been following my channel for a while, you know that I hate Psmith as a character. It is the last book in the Psmith series, and I won't have to read him ever again. But I'm dreading it, and I just sort of assumed that other people would share my feelings, and I'm apparently wrong, because I think it was rated like a 3.6 or something on Storygraph, which is so disappointed. So that's that's the second disappointment. The disappointment was getting that prompt in the first place. The second one is that I couldn't put the Psmith book in it. So I went through and I found Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad, which apparently on Storygraph is a 2.98, which I'm like, okay. Apparently all the other classics that I own are at least a 3, which I was a little surprised by. Because, not that I, think I have bad taste in classics or anything, but just more opinions means more variation. But apparently everyone likes the ones I have. So this edition does also have 3 short stories, which I will go ahead and read. this doesn't tell me what Heart of Darkness is, like, actually about. Like, the plot, it just says, it's widely regarded as a masterpiece for its vivid study of race and the greed and ruthlessness of imperialism. It traces the journey of Marlowe, a riverboat captain, on a voyage into the African Congo, and there he sees brutal depravity and becomes obsessed with meeting this famously idealistic and able man stationed further along the river. What he finally discovers, however, is a horror beyond imagining. So, I have no idea what I'm getting into. I really don't know anything about this book except that it's a classic. And the only reason I have it is because it was on the Rory Gilmore Reading Challenge, which, like, 5 to 7 years ago, I decided I was going to try to do. And so I have a lot of the books from the list that I haven't read yet. So this will be great. For the fourth book... Oh, that doesn't count. That doesn't count. That wasn't an actual roll. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go Jewish because I don't think I got any Jewish books last month. It is a one-word title. That won't be easy. Okay, a Jewish book that is a one-word title. So, funny thing. I have no Jewish books that are a one-word title. A lot, I would say half of my books about Judaism are nonfiction. And so there are subtitles and long titles to let you know what you're getting into. And then fiction. So I went with what is technically a one-word title, Trefy, but it has a subtitle, which is My Life as an Unorthodox Jew. This is a memoir about the author and growing up in an Orthodox household, and then how she felt she didn't fit, and sort of the thought process behind that, and how she sort of processes and handles that for herself, and comes to grips with her identity. So I thought, I saw it in the bookstore, I thought it looked really good. I'm surprised I don't have a Jewish book that has a one-word title, but I'm not that surprised. Alright, for potentially the last roll, 3, okay. 2, 3, well, alright, Miscellaneous. Ooh, okay. Plants on the cover. Alright. Okay, and the last book is a miscellaneous book with plants on the cover. So, I didn't know how to describe, like, what counted as a plant. Like, plants, obviously, but, like, I have a lot of books that have trees on them, which I felt was too easy. I don't know. So, I went ahead with the newest book I got that had plants on the cover, which, like, they're flowers. This is the Enchanted Hacienda by J.C. Cervantes, and this was actually recommended to me as well, and it is about, it's a fantasy book, and it follows this girl, Harlow, who just got fired and broken up with, and so she returns home where her family, I think, cultivates these, like, magic roses or something, but she's not, Harlow is the only person in her family who's not able to harness that power. So I don't know much, but if someone recommends a book to me, I'm going to read it eventually. It just so happens this was recommended to me only like a month ago. So we'll see what happens, I guess. And that's kind of it. Like I mentioned, I will also be reading Wodehouse book of which is Psmith Journalist. So on my TBR for the month, I only have 6 books, but that is actually good because it means that at the end of the month, I can do the themed vlog that is way more random, but to me seems like really fun and kind of creative. So I'm really looking forward to that. But I have to read all these books first. I can't just like dilly-dally because I would like to keep my momentum from June going. So that's about it. Leave me a comment if you've read any of these books, or if you have these books on your TBR as well. Like the video, subscribe, click the notification bell, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. And make sure to keep an eye out for my weekly vlogs so that you can see my opinions on these books in real time. Otherwise, I will talk to you guys later.